Alright, I think we are live. Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to another episode, the live stream of the High Speed Rail, American Rail Club. There we are. So today we're talking about a couple different things over here. I want to talk about Big Boy. The Big Boy comes home after Union Pacific has went around and toured it on their main line. We're going to talk about that. We're talking about Denver as well. We're going to be talking about what's going on in Illinois. We're going to be talking about Texas. We're going to talk about what's going on over there, Houston. We're going to talk about Japan and their new Alpha X. Hi, Ruiz Railroad. How you doing? We're also going to be talking about more about California here because this is pretty interesting. I've been going more and more about what's going on over in California. I think it does deserve its own episode from us. Been deserving our own episode. But let's go ahead and go on from there. Of course, I'm your host, Demetrius Villa, president and founder of the American Rail Club. We're over 12,200 subscribers, guys. We're getting there. We're doing a lot. Yeah, I was just about to say High Speed Rail America Club. That's the thing. When you've been saying it for 5 years, it gets into your head. So, American Rail Club. American Rail Club. And by the way, those of you who don't know, we still got t-shirts here. So that's what I'm wearing. Bright, sunshiny day. Got the Bright Line t-shirt. So, get them before I change the design over to Virgin Trains. So, go ahead and they're right there on the Teespring. We got them at a special rate. So, if you want some high-speed swag when you go train spotting, it's one thing to do. They're actually very, very comfortable to wear outside because it's been muggy and rainy all day today here in Indiana, so pretty good. All right, so let's talk about this. So, the Big Boy. Big Boy is a restored train. So, Union Pacific was going ahead and celebrating the 150th anniversary of Promontory Point, of the final golden spike being put in to finally connect east and west. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, that was a very big deal over back then. So hopefully you guys can hear me. You can hear whatever little background music I got there, the synthwave. But yeah, Big Boy finally got itself caught. He is a big boy for you. Had to do some bait posting there. So, what's the next step now for the Big Boy? Hopefully, it's not crashing this train with no survivors, but Union Pacific says they will be touring this train later on. For those of you who have been over there, go ahead, please share some, and if you have any pictures or videos of Big Boy, go ahead and share it on the Instagram that we got. So for those of you who don't have our Instagram, I'm going to go ahead and put that on there, so please visit us on there. We're at GoAmericanRailClub.com. Apparently, we were going to change our the other one, but never panned out. So we had to make a whole new. There we are. So go ahead and visit us on there. Yeah, Virgin Line versus Chad Bright Line. That should be a new meme. All right, going on from there. So again, guys, things have been doing pretty well for trains in the United States. So I have been, mostly optimistic in city areas. So I probably have to go ahead and make a new episode as well about this. So I have a whole list of here. I have a blackboard, more of a whiteboard behind me over here, in front of me. You guys can't see it because it's behind you guys in the camera on the computer. But we have a whole thing here. We're going to talk about Alpha X. We're going to be talking about the truth about GM and who killed America's trains. GM. And we're also going to talk about how you can bring better rail transportation and bullet trains to your state. Because I think that's really what we got to do here is we got to focus by state, by region, by region. Because if we just make high-speed rail and, better rail transport about all over the United States, it just becomes a massive focus where we cannot go ahead and pinpoint, okay, well, we have these regions where we can go ahead and go A to B and go from there. Ruiz Railroad said, will you make a video about Chicago Metro? Yeah, I will. The next time I do get to Chicago over there on business, I will go ahead and go on Metro. I was just so enamored with going around on the Tesla since I rented it. And I was like, hey, we might as well, we have it here. Why not just go ahead and drive it around everywhere instead of, But panned out pretty well, and I thought we were going to have an extra day there, but I had to get back earlier for a meeting, so it worked out. So RTD, this is in Denver here. They expanded their new Southeast Light Rail line, so here's a
and 3 new stations.
Video here.
Kelly White is live at one of the new stations as commuters are making their way to work on this Friday morning. Hi, Michaelia.
Good morning, Britt. Yeah, it's not open quite yet, but people
that
are
lag there
showing up here to take the train. Now, Pauletta has been out with us all morning, bright and early. She's with RTD. Pauletta, what can people do if they want to take the train? It's not open yet.
Yeah, it's been something. We've seen people showing up here thinking that they can hop on. So, folks, it opens to the public at 11 today after the grand opening ceremony. You can ride the.
You have signs out there or something, or
to get into town to go to work. You should go to the I-25 and Lincoln Station until 11 o'clock today if you want to.
Okay, I guess like nobody knew when it was going to be opening up.
To make this possible and to give us that local match to get the federal grant, the city of Lone Tree, Douglas County, Coventry Development, and others. And so.
Well, that's interesting. So that's a good thing. So it's 2.3. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's Jessica Kasumi just said that there. Mason Liskai said, "What do you think about 587?" I'm not too sure about 587. Can you? NKP 587. It's all right too. I mean, I'm not too familiar with older trains. So, what is GM? GM is General Motors. General Motors, or as I call them, garbage motors, because if you get a GM car or anything made by them, Chevy or Buick or anything, it's bound to fail on you or do something or waste your wallet at that point trying to get for repairs. So I'm going to put this article over here if you guys want to go ahead and see more about Denver. But this is good because here's the thing. The more we have the connections within cities, the better we can be able to get around. All right, that's pretty obvious, but what happens when people see this more and more happen around the United States? It's because now we're building up these train lines that we used to have all over the place. And again, GM has a lot with this. So if for those of you guys don't know, here's the gist of it. So General Motors back in the 1940s and 50s partnered also with Firestone and another couple of oil companies that used to be Standard Oil. They had this whole conspiracy that said, okay, we're going to go ahead and buy up all the nation's rail lines. We're going to scrap them, and then we're going to put buses. So Firestone, you're going to pay for the tires, so you can be able to make more money. And Standard Oil, you're going to pay for the oil, so you can make more money. And we're going to supply the buses, we being GM, and we're going to make some money. So, yeah, it was a real thing. So the GM conspiracy actually did happen. So the United States Supreme Court found them guilty, and they said, yeah, you did it, so we're going to fine you $5,000. Oh, yeah, and the CEO of GM at the time, they fined him $1. And, at the time, $5,000, what? That would be what? 2 new 1957 Chevy Bel Airs? That's BS money. So, obviously, the government was in cahoots with this. So, it wasn't just a conspiracy with GM, but GM was paying off the government to do this. And the government had to say, well, they are doing a conspiracy. We do have monopoly law. So, yeah, you guys are guilty. That's all they did. It's sickening. It was a very sickening thing. And they also killed the electric car. So those of you, I was also looking up about that because I was doing some research on electric cars because I honestly think that it's a hell of a better deal than gas cars. And I think the age of gas cars is over, unfortunately, for us guys who love cars. I mean, come on, look at how many I have, so many little cars over here. You guys should see my Hot Wheels collection, but this is the one I have on my desk. Is of course my favorite, the Bugatti Veyron 16.4. So I love this thing. Yeah, Lionel should be a real thing. But I don't have enough space to go ahead and put a model train. I love model train sets, but man, the space for them, they are expensive. They are expensive. Yeah, so that's the thing. GM has destroyed what we've had are real urban lines, our electric lines, our tram lines, and we've been stuck with, gas, diesel, disgusting buses all over the place, and now we're, paying the price, and GM gets to get around with a, bailout deal, but not fun. Neon Rock said, I find it a bit ironic about the bid of Standard Oil since Reality Rockefeller helped Flagler fund the FEC. Yeah, that was a long time ago. They were all dead already at that point. Rockefeller was what? Maybe the Rockefeller the third at that, or second at that point. But yeah, Flagler already died in 1912. And Rockefeller was already long past dead. High-cast infrastructure. Do you think Elon Musk is misguided with proposals like tunnel vision, or do you think he has more malicious intent trying to replace mass transit? I honestly think Elon Musk has his heart in the right place. He's just throwing out ideas in there. A lot of it mostly because of media publicity. Really, if you're in business, here's the funny thing about Tesla and all these other companies and SpaceX that is under Musk's foothold over here, is that they don't spend anything in marketing dollars, which is amazing. So, I mean, you see Tesla they've been owning the new car sales here in America. Like they're, top number one, like most sold luxury car, most sold mid-level luxury car, and the same in Europe when they just came out over there last month. So I think Elon Musk has his heart in the right place. He's just throwing out ideas. It's like, why don't we try this? And I don't think it's going to work. Well, actually, no, I don't think it's going to work. It's not going to work. Because when you go to saying, again, I explained this in the episode Tesla versus train. What's going to make more sense? What's going to move more people? What's going to cost less? Taking down cars into a tunnel and putting them one by one so they can go through one by one with probably one person in the car. Or do you go ahead and take a whole train and start moving them in? I don't have my model trains over here. They're all in my bedroom. This is inspiration. But you get the point. You get the gist. So if you could make tunneling cheaper, which Elon Musk hasn't made tunneling cheaper, if you actually look at what they've done with their tunneling project, the Boring Company, it hasn't really made tunneling cheaper. So that's what we'll do. But this is the good thing now, is that now with lines like this coming back, no, not coming back, but expanding, people are going to be exposed to the train more. They're going to want more rail transportation, and hopefully, again, for our generation here, we'll be able to change a lot with what's going on. So it's a good thing. And 2 to 3 miles, especially in Denver. Denver's a pretty packed city, and there's been a lot of people moving in, especially a lot of California transplants coming in. My condolences to all of you in Denver, but it's again, it's a good thing that people in the city are starting to get more rail transportation, which is good. And the rest of the world sees it. The rest of the country sees it. Other states see it, and they say, well, maybe this is a good thing to bring over here. Speaking of other states, now we have Illinois. The governor has a plan to now put in more funding for Metro, which is a good thing. Because now with more funding for Metro, we can be able to go ahead and, move more people within the Chicago area. So, again, this is a good thing for everybody. The more funding, not just funding, but the more state funding. Because the states do get a lot of taxpayer money as well. And the thing is that Chicago and Illinois, because the thing is, Illinois is owned by Chicago. If you guys go anywhere out of Illinois, it is not Chicago. It is farmland. You can barely tell Illinois apart from rural Indiana. Which is basically, Indiana is mostly rural, except if you go to Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Lafayette, and, some other cities, Kokomo, but rest of Indiana is basically rural. You go to Illinois, it's the same thing, but Chicago basically rules over Illinois. But here's the thing over here. With that, they've been saying that they were going to, do things. For example, they were going to now charge people who bought electric cars $1,000 for registration, which is ridiculous. But, they already get enough in taxpayer money. They're spending it all on the roads. That's the problem. $2.9 billion, I think, for Metro is a good start. But if we were to look at Illinois' spending per year on transportation, I'm going to guarantee you that there's going to be over $20 billion in there for roads. I'm just going to, I'm going to bet on that. But it's a good thing now that Pritzker is going to be doing that. And this is part of a total of $41.5 billion in 6 years. So that's a good thing to be introduced. So again, it's a plan that's been introduced, but it hasn't been put into perspective or hasn't been put into practice yet. Let's see. Ruiz Railroad said, hope this plan works since government plans don't work. Bruce Rauner tried to bring back the American Amtrak Blackhawk to Dubuque. Yeah. And that's the thing, because when you do it as a national plan, it really doesn't happen too well. And that's the thing with Amtrak, since, you know, they're a national company, well, supposedly national company, for-profit government company, but still. And they get the bulk of their funding from Congress. So a lot of these states say, well, why do we have to fund them? That's what happened. That's what happened over here in Indiana. So, again, hopefully we can be able to bring back the Hoosier State in a different state. Because, again, it wasn't in such a good state. And I'm not saying that it was a good thing at all that we lost the Hoosier State. And it wasn't good at all. However, the war isn't over for this. The battle may be lost, but the war isn't over. You've heard that cliche before. So again, Metro, Chicago, this is a big, big area. So hopefully this does go through and Chicago is able to push this out. Now let's go over to Texas. Texas, again, I think this is the most important high-speed rail project. And again, I say high-speed rail specifically in the United States. The most important rail project, I think, is Brightline. But the most important high-speed rail project is definitely Texas. Because, again, Brightline isn't really high-speed rail. We know. I call it high-speed rail because mostly everybody here in the United States doesn't know what high-speed rail is. So I tell them it's a high-speed rail in Florida. But, again, that's what it is. Highcast Infrastructure said, on a related note, I liked how you used my Virgin versus Chad meme in the train versus Tesla video. Yeah, that was a good one. If you guys have any more memes or anything that you guys want to share, I'm probably going to go ahead and open up the Reddit page that we have for the American Rail Club. I don't know yet. Maybe when we get to 20,000 subscribers, I'll start making it more active. But as for now, we still have the Facebook group. So if you're in the Facebook group, go ahead and share them there. And also, if you're on Transport Central on Discord, you can go ahead and join us on Discord and share memes on there whenever I get on Discord. Because I pop in, every so often. So that's a good way to get in touch. All right. Back to this over in Texas, because this is a big deal. So let's go over this article. The Dallas-Houston high-speed rail project dodged a bullet this week. Funny. When lawmakers hashing out the state budget released a decision to strike a provision that could have delayed the project. So here's the thing. A lot of the lawmakers, representatives, and congressmen in the state of Texas, for the state Congress of Texas, the ones that are living in between the route, and again, this happens everywhere. The two cities are in agreement of, yeah, let's build the train, and the rural areas are like, well, we don't want the train because it's going to make noise, or other dumb reasons. Usually a lot of it, and a lot of the people over in Texas, we've already found out, a lot of the opposition is also funded by oil interests. The judge on here, I forgot, was it Lehman, I think? I think it was Judge Lehman or something like that. That he was against the project. And if you look at his donations, yeah, Ben Lehman. There you go. Hey, Highcast, you're on it, man. I should have you on the stream sometime. So yeah, and that's the thing. If you look at is it Open Secrets? Yes, Open Secrets is a good website, because here's the thing. Let's go this. Open Secrets. I want to show you. .org. So OpenSecrets.org is a website where you can go ahead and find out donations, where donations are going to, and who donated what, and to which parties, which companies, everything. So let's go to donors. Ben Lehman. Let's go ahead and Ben Lehman. There we go. So we got Nevada, Texas, Ben Lehman, state line. I know I did this before. Well, that's the only Ben Lehman we got. And Texas. Trying to see if I can find. Can I go to donors? I know I did this before. And I did find that there were some oil interests, and he was on the board for an oil rig workers union. So if I can find that, I'm going to go ahead and put that out, because that's important. I know I did this, it was like 3 years back at least. So again, that's really the opposition over in Texas. It's oil. it's big oil that doesn't want this to happen. It's the airlines, because if you look back in the 80s, when they were trying to do the Texas Triangle, Southwest Airlines went ahead and lobbied to hell against the project. So here, let's put that here. Texas Triangle, Southwest. Boom, it already comes up. Let me see. Southwest Airlines. High-speed rail. Let's put that. I don't know why the hell I'm using Bing. There we go. Oh, this is a form. I don't want a form. Okay. Yeah, so this is what happened. So basically the gist of it was Southwest Airlines said that because the trains would be too competitive, especially in their space, because this was in Southwest Airlines started between the Texas Triangle. They started between Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and they were doing flights from there. That's how they started and expanded out. So back in the 80s, since this was a supposedly a P3, which was a public-private partnership, the Texas Triangle, between the French government, the SNCF, and the state of Texas. And Southwest Airlines said, no. That's going to kill our business. No. You guys can't do that. So we're going to lobby our friends in Texas Congress, so you guys can't do that. I'm going to go ahead and put this out here. See what you guys think about it. I'm also going to go check back in the comments. Again, this is all, like, if I find anything, or if you guys find anything that's interesting, any links, any evidence to what we're doing, go ahead and put them out on the chat. So again, there's silly things that are going on over here. And again, project developer Texas Central Partners LLC lauded the legislative move. The company has been battling legislative efforts, said that it could cripple the project and impose unfair requirements that other similar projects like natural gas pipelines don't have. So here's the thing. And the funny thing is that the opponents for Texas Central Railway keep saying that Texas Central Railway is not a train. That's not a train. Remember, that's not a train line. So because it's not a train, it's not a rail line, they can't use eminent domain. You see, this is the reasoning for it. So it's very sneaky. And there's a very thin line that they can go ahead and write on that. It's like, yeah, because they don't have existing rail, then they're not considered a rail line. Which is stupid, because in the future, it is a rail line. It's Texas Central Railway. It's a rail line. Yeah, exactly, Ruiz Railroad. Nani, exactly. What? Exactly. So, and that's the thing. In Texas, again, this is important. This is an important state, because this is going to prove once and for all that private rail, especially high-speed rail, can work for funding in the United States, as it used to do before. Brightline is, the impetus of that. It's proving that already. But once Texas happens, I guarantee you there's going to be more projects like this happening. Now, we have until probably around, 2022, 2023, 2024, probably 2024, when they go ahead and start running these. But, we have time until then to go ahead with Brightline and show that this works. So that's what's happening over there. And they also have an updated ridership study as well. And so let's go look at this study. According to the updated study, more than 6 million passengers annually are expected to use the bullet train by 2029, and 13 million annually will ride the train by 2050. So these are very long-term, a very long-term look at what the ridership is going to be. So they don't just have 2029, which again, that's when California was supposed to be finished by. It's not going to, but we'll go into California in a little bit. But again, 13 million by 2050, and that's again with the increase of population within the state and the increase of use as well of rideshare being taken away from the automobile and from the plane and going into the train. So honestly, I think those numbers could probably increase by then, but this is a very conservative look to it. Let's look at some of the comments over here. Speaking of private companies, have you been keeping contract with BSRC. And if you don't know about them, long story short, they're a company in Rhode Island trying to make a profitable commuter line. No, I'm not familiar with that. Please, if you have any links or any information on that, please send that over. I'm probably going to go ahead and look that up. Let me go ahead and write that down here. BSRC. Okay. Gotta go ahead and look that up. All right. So, into the study, more people are moving to urban regions, causing congestion and delays, a trend that supports the growing market for alternative transit solutions. No joke. This is what's been happening all over the United States. We've been re-urbanizing. Again, people think that urbanization is a new trend. This isn't a new trend. This has been happening in the United States. The United States used to be, when we had rail transportation, we had more urban areas. We had people living in urban areas, not suburban areas. Again, people used to think, they look at things like, well, there's more people now living in cities. Here's the thing. What constitutes as a city in the United States? Now, we had people living in two different areas. We didn't have suburbs. Or the concept of what suburbs are in modern times as it was back in the day. You had people living straight up in the cities, or they lived all the way in rural areas and maybe some little spots of suburban areas. But, again, not to the extent of where you had it, where it became in the 50s that everybody started moving into these suburbs, and these suburbs started to massively grow, that the cities became depopulated, they became decrepit, they became crime-ridden, derelict, and destructive. Ryan Rail, Brightline needs to turn electric. They do have that in a plan. Again, the reason why Brightline started with diesels because this is what they had available. This was the quickest and fastest way to get something going as a proof of concept. Again, proof of concept, that's a very important term here, because if you don't show people that, we have a running train, people are not going to believe it. The same thing what's going on in California is because they don't have a proof of concept of what's going on. They're just going on showing CG, and they're showing, everybody else what's going on in the rest of the world. But again, most of the voters are not going to really look at that. They're going to say, we'll train. And you're going to have nothing to show them. Let's see. Transport nerd. As much as I love living in suburbs, urbanization and gentrification would benefit public transportation a lot. Yeah, and there's a lot of, I would say, negative connotation with that word gentrification. Again, because a lot of people put a lot of racial lines again. I don't, again, I try not to, go onto it within the show on, talking about politics or anything like that. Again, politics is important. But I try not to go into, too much of that. But I agree. There needs to be more urbanization over here. Ruiz Rivos, do you think that gated private communities, that disappeared over there. I don't know why your message is being retracted, man. I don't know what's going on. Ronell Reed, Brightline should keep the name. I agree. Innovation Studios did do a good video on that if you guys haven't seen it yet. But it was pretty good. Actually, let me go ahead and put that there. Innovation Studios. So, if you guys don't know, so here's a channel, he did a video. He's also an animator. He did a video on why Brightline should keep the name of Virgin Brightline as the Brightline name instead of, renaming it to Virgin Trains USA. So let me go ahead and get you guys a link. Put it out on here. Okay. Thank you, Nano Rock. Marie's Railroad, if you're trying to put something on here, I don't know why the message is getting retracted. I don't know what YouTube is doing, some funny things, but keep trying to put it through. I don't know what's going on. It's definitely not me. And I'm trying to see enable chat. Yeah, let me take off this automatically block spam messages. Maybe that'll go. Okay, go ahead and try it now. See if it works. Okay, again, I don't like blocking anybody. I think everybody should have their word, even if there is spam. If we see the spam, we'll just shoot them on sight. No big deal. No worries. Okay. He was asking if gated private communities are a harm to rail. No, it's not going to do much of anything unless rails is running along gated private communities. Then you have what's going on, and what happened with Brightline is that you have all these communities because they're mostly gated communities. Are mostly a lot of boomers and retirees living in there, and they don't like anything that's noise. And now that they have, trains running back and forth, they were the ones that were going against it. So it was a lot of the country clubs. Again, if you looked at the people who were against Brightline, Florida, not all aboard all of those. They were country clubs or synagogues again. Yep, that actually did happen. Synagogues, or the former chairman of American Airlines. So again, this is a lot of uptight, nitty communities that don't like being with other people outside. But again, that's what it is. I'm really dumbing it down there, but that's really what happened. Mostly it was because of American Airlines and Bob Crandall. Don't give me anywhere that all that funding came through, because they were relentless when it came to attacking Brightline. They were relentless. Footnote guy, hello from Liverpool, England. Where is this from? How you doing, man? From across the pond. What's this? If you're talking about where I'm streaming from right now, I'm streaming from Columbus, Indiana. If you're talking about Texas Central is in Texas between Houston and Dallas. Lambu Cup Series. Do you ever watch Rail Stream or Virtual Rail Fan? Sometimes I watch, whenever it comes up on my subscriptions, but I'm not too big into that right now. I don't know, just not my cup of tea for some reason. And again, let's go to the next thing over here. Again, because this is what's been happening. I don't know why this article starts with the Trump administration is pulling some federal funding for California, but that project and others like it are quickly moving forward. Because the other two projects are privately funded. That's the reason why they don't have to worry about federal funding. But again, I don't know why I picked this article, but it goes to show that, again, things are moving a lot. We're in a massive time here where high-speed rail is really starting to go up. And this is a great thing. I mean, I never knew that we'd be in this state, 5 years before. That we have 3 projects now moving, basically, well, if you count out California, maybe we have 2 projects moving full speed ahead on really moving and connecting this nation. So that can really happen. Let's see. We got some more things on Texas here. Let's talk about Alpha X, because this is a really good thing here to show that, especially the Japanese, who were the people who basically created the Shinkansen. Well, they did not create the train, but they created the method of the Shinkansen. They're testing their new Alpha X Shinkansen, which goes at a top speed of 250 miles an hour. This is incredible over here. Okay, so this would be faster than the trains over in China, because those trains run, I think, at a top speed of around 240 miles an hour. And if they were to make a top speed record with this, it could probably, reach over 300 easily, just like the French were able to do. And this is easier because it has electric multiple units. It doesn't have a tractor car in the front that's doing all the traction. Okay, these are all, it's, again, divided among, it's like an all-wheel drive car. So what the French have is basically like a front wheel or rear wheel drive car. You have, the end of the train pushing or pulling it. Whereas in Japan, they have all the wheels of the train motored and electrified, and that's why they're able to move it so smoothly. Let's go through some of the comments over here. Let's see. Growing Up 15, City Beautiful did a good video on gated communities and how they are harming the community. Yeah, I agree with that. I probably wouldn't live in a gated community. Probably for me, I'm going to live somewhere, in the middle of nowhere with a, giant log cabin and have a couple of apartments in the city. So whenever I go to the city, I can live in there. But at some point, I do want peace and quiet. So if I want peace and quiet, I'm going to get peace and quiet, not live in, some suburban area in the middle of, in between. Highcast Infrastructure said, train exists, Bob Crandall, angry jet noises. Yeah, that should be a meme. Simulation Banks, I watch Virtual Rail Fan, it's pretty fun. Yeah, some of those, they're pretty fun. I should probably do a Let's Play, I'm a rail conductor or something like that, of Shinkansen or something like that, if I can get one of these train sims. Probably at some point when I have absolutely nothing to do. Christopher Columbus. I don't know if it's D. Christopher Columbus, but okay. Do you think the NASA's 2024 moon exploration might influence the USA to advance our railroad infrastructure? They're kind of disconnected. I get the point of what you're trying to say, that because we're looking into doing something, high tech and futuristic that we should be doing the same with our rail transportation. I don't think the two and two will go together with the public, but hey, it's a stretch. It's your call there. Marie's Rear, well, California's left the state and they believe the government needs to fix their infrastructure. Again, that goes hand in hand. Anything that happens with California high-speed rail, everyone gets mad. I'm just like I told you so. Yeah, and look, this is the thing. I'm not really upset with California high-speed rail. I'm upset with the fact that they mismanaged the project. I'm not upset at the project at all of, the vision of it. I agree that the project should happen, and even if they have to spend $100 billion. But $100 billion spread from, let's say, if they spent $100 billion in 5 years and built up the project, I'd have no problem with that. But it's $100 billion, and they're taking their sweet time to build the frickin' thing. Again, we're going to get into that. But when things happen right, you get what's going on in Japan. They've had this for 50 years, and now they're going to go 250 miles an hour with the new Alpha X. Look at this thing. This is cool inside. So it's based off, kind of off the E5. You can kind of see that snub nose of the, that long boy nose they got over there. That ain't no snub nose. That's a long boy nose right there. Kind of based off the E5 Shinkansen. And again, a reason why they have that aerodynamically is that when they go into a tunnel, it creates a boom of pressure of all the air pressure that's inside over there. If they have a blunt force object going in there, you're going to have a boom. So because they have it, slower and down, it just basically slides right in. It doesn't make that much of a noise when going into tunnels. It doesn't disturb, anybody nearby. But this is pretty cool though. So the first passengers are expected by 2030. So again, once you have systems up, you can go ahead and, spend as much money if you have on R&D and make these new trains. And that's the thing about Japan. Now, California doesn't really have to spend that much in research and development of the train sets themselves. And neither do they really have to spend that much research and development when it comes to the tracks and where they're going to have the right-of-way. Again, they could have, just one set. If they just hired Japanese consultants, they would be perfectly fine because, again, it's a very similar climate. Well, Japan has a lot more mountains and an alpine region. So I don't know where, a lot of these people keep coming that, California's too expensive because there's a lot of mountains and whatnot, and it's going to be more expensive than Japan. That was stupid. I think I saw that in a video. I think it was, I don't know if it was NBC's why the U.S. doesn't have high-speed rail, because that was something that came out this month, and it made like 16 million views, of course, because, the big media companies can go ahead and spend that, but, again, but that's what it is. 72-foot long nose, my God. That is insane. Yeah, so there's some videos over here if you guys want to see it. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put this article for you guys to see if you want to. The Rennell Reed channel said, will TCR get an Alpha X? Probably in the future they will, because if they're expecting passengers into 2050, they're not going to just run that with the N700 I. That's by 20 years, those train sets are going to be outdated, and they're going to have to get them out. They'll probably be able to put the Alpha X, and hopefully by that point, by 2050, the network will be connected to a whole bunch of different places, which I said, they're really conservative on the numbers here, 50 million annually. I really do think that once by 2050, we're going to have high-speed rail all over the United States. There's going to be more than 50 million passengers, by far. Yeah, it was NBC that said that, yeah. So they did say that California was going to be more expensive because they had more mountains than Japan. That was the stupidest thing. If you look at Japan, they're probably one of the most mountainous regions in the world. In fact, they have the most volcanoes, more volcanoes than anybody else. They have more earthquakes than anybody else. This is a first world country that has tech that we can't even catch up to. Go figure. Yeah, it was posted onto the Facebook group. No one, California, trying to figure out track gauge. Yeah, they probably would be. So, since we're talking about California so much, let's go into our friends in California. Why not? So, back to what happened in April. So, the California High-Speed Rail Authority said that the cost may be $1.8 billion more. So, it started like $50 billion back when they had proposition back in 2008. Then it went up to $70 billion, and it was 72, 76. And then it just kept going up and up and up. I'm already telling you guys, expect $100 billion. Again, it's nothing to be happy about, but do you know how much California spends on their roads? I'm talking about their car roads. They spend a hell of a lot. Okay? Not only that, I mean, California is spending so much money on a couple of different things. I mean, I was bringing up, on the Facebook group, where's California spending their money on roads? How much is California spending on illegal immigrants to live in the state? I think it was like $23 billion every year, which is insane. So 3 years of, illegal immigrants could basically pay for California high-speed rail for actual people that live in the state and work and pay their taxes. Or they fund it on gender studies degrees, like Ruiz Railroad says. Yeah, exactly. Or, how much money we spend on colleges. It's insane how much we spend on colleges, and they basically keep everything. And we're all in debt thanks to it. So, yeah. Let me see. I'm going to check what you have over here. Jessica Kasumi. I'm going to go ahead and put that in a new link. If you guys have any links to share, go ahead and be my guest. I love when you guys share stuff, so I can go ahead and look it up. And Nano Rock, there we go. We got Boston Surface Railroad Company. Perfect. All right. I'm going to look at those later. Yeah, California would be spending probably $1 million of that to figure out the genders of the trains, or if they can be gender neutral. But in all honesty, guys, okay, so the Trump administration is going to pull the 929, with basically $1 billion of funding from the high-speed rail project. So this was promised by the Obama administration back in 2008, 2010, that, when he was going to go ahead and fund high-speed rail. This was this $12 billion spending bill that they were going to have for high-speed rail, and he's just sprinkled it all over the United States. Nothing concentrated, nothing good. It was going to be promised for Florida. Rick Scott said, no, we're not doing that. And they were going to have it in Wisconsin. Scott Walker, the governor of the state at that time. Also, Rick Scott was the governor of the state at the time at Florida. But both of them refused funding from the Obama administration. And I said that back years ago, that it was mostly because of political reasons. They did not want money from the Obama administration. And when Rick Scott looked at the project, he was looking at what was going on in California. Again, this came from a source that I knew in the Rick Scott administration, that they said they were looking at that. They said this is not something they want to bring to Florida because it would leave all the taxpayers on the hook, just like what's going on in California. Because the problem with this is that, here's the big thing. The Department of Transportation says California officials failed to make reasonable progress. That's the big kicker there. Failed to make reasonable progress. And this is what upsets me the most about California, because you had all this money, you have all this support, and it was a waste of time. We've been wasting years to get this done. This should have been already, we should have already had the first phase by now. It was supposed to be 2019. If you look at the original plan, I think they were supposed to have Merced to Bakersfield already done at this point. Or 2022. I mean, we would have already had, rail lines going. We should have had this already running on the rails. Not still making this. So again, that's the big problem with California, is that because this is the bad thing about it, is that when people see high-speed rail, they see this. They see this, and they see fail to make reasonable progress. Now, the thing about having states to have it, now Governor Newsom said that, it doesn't matter because what they're going to do is, they're still going to fund it anyway. So they don't have the money from the national the national federal funding to do this. California's basically going to say, so what, we'll go ahead and, fund this anyway, which they should. They should. I mean, $1 billion into the whole entire project of $72 billion is not that big of a deal. I'm going to tell you right now, it is not that big of a deal. Jessica Kasumi says, as a native California, this state irks me to no end. Yeah, I agree. And this is why so many people are moving out of California. People are moving in exodus out of California, out of New York, out of all these other states, because they're, there was another article. I have to find it, because I have a whole list of articles I've been I get every morning. New York has one of the biggest taxpayer bases in the nation. They have Wall Street. They have all these, top financial companies based in the state, and they can barely get a functioning subway done correctly. And people, the regular people, the regular folks that, are working 9 to 5 or, working paycheck to paycheck, it's become more expensive in these places. It's become more expensive in California. It's become more expensive to live in San Francisco, where people are literally defecating on the streets. And to get an apartment, you're basically going to be, selling your liver every month, if it can grow that fast, over in San Francisco. And, people cannot live there. So that's why they're leaving the state. So there needs to be something that needs to get done on this. So Governor Newsom is doing something over here because they found out that they spent so much money on consultants. This is the problem when you have multiple consultants on here. And this is what happens when you have it as a state-run project with, without a private company. Because the difference between Brightline, why they did it is because they needed to get the project done. If they didn't get done, their funders, their backers would get upset because it's a private company. Okay, the only way a private company can make money is if A, like the airlines are getting massive subsidies, or B, if you're not a company that's up to getting massive subsidies, like a railroad is not getting massive subsidies anymore from the federal government, then you're going to go ahead and get a lot of backing, a lot of private funding, whether it's through bonds or whether it's through stock options. So that's why Brightline really has to make sure that this project works, because all their ass is on the line. And that's why they're making a project, they're making it happen. California isn't, because nobody's ass is on the line. So what? They can stay there all the time. They can get the government pension. And it's true. This is what happens with a government-run project. It stays like this. You see these? These pylons? That's what you get. This is what you get over in Florida. This is what you get over in California. If that doesn't show you the difference between what private companies can do versus what government companies, government-funded projects can do, I don't know what else will. Because this is just the problem. So Newsom is doing something good here to scale back consultants, and I think this is a good thing because there's been too many cooks in the kitchen, to drop in another cliche, just dropping in cliches there. But as to say, there's just too many cooks in the kitchen, and they're spending money, and people are getting paid to do nothing. If you guys ever worked in the government office, this is what they do. They sit there, they collect the payments, they walk out, they do nothing. So hopefully, this changes something over here. So, yeah, you can read these articles. I'm not too thrilled with Ralph Vardabedian because he's been knocking on the project ever since. But he does have some good points. And again, I do think this is a good thing over here. This he's really just reporting the news. He's not really putting that much of his own personal spin into it until later on. But yeah, this is one of the guys that has been knocking the project, mostly for the money issue. And I can understand that. But, still, I think there's a better way to go about doing this. That, we do need high-speed rail. I agree. But in this sort of fashion of, building it is tough. So we're nearing the end, folks. It's 8:48. We're going to leave for a couple of questions. So question time. If you guys have any questions, show them now. Again, it is a good thing for them to build high-speed rail. They've been able to hire thousands of people to work on this. And hopefully those are Americans, okay? Because I was reading reports that I think the industry where most illegal immigrants work is in the construction industry. So hopefully those are Americans. Let's put that onto there. And they're getting Americans back to work, because we need that to happen. To get Americans back to work, to build these projects, to also build a new industry where now people can be able to learn. Because we have so many people that, have gotten their degrees in technology and engineering and business and STEM and everything else. And it's tough to get a job right now. There are jobs out there on LinkedIn that I see. That's why I quit looking for a job and just, screw it. I built my own company and I'm going from there. Because when you look on LinkedIn or you look on anywhere else and you see these jobs applying for, and there's 1,000 applicants applying for one job, it's not a job seeker's market. And again, I don't trust these unemployment numbers. Really look at the job participation rate. Okay, if you really look at that, Our unemployment numbers have been disastrous for the last 20 years. And it's mostly because of this. So hopefully we can be able to bring high-speed rail so we can get a lot more, construction workers back to work. We can get a lot of this generation, our generation, which has experience in business, in STEM, and everything else, in technology, to be working on these projects. AI is going to be big for trains. You have a lot of tech coding is going to be big for trains. Business is going to be big for trains because you're going to have, not just to run the business of the rail lines, but the business of the stations as well, of the real estate, of everything else. It's the whole economy that works into that. I mean, that's what I saw when I was in Japan. The whole economy, the big gear that was running the entire economy were the trains. There are the trains. That's how it works in Japan. That's how it works in all the other these countries because they have this system available to move people around seamlessly. So that's what we got to bring over here. Okay, I went on a big tangent there, guys, but again, this is why I'm so passionate about this, and you guys are passionate about this too, and I'm glad we're doing this on here on a nice Sunday night. It's nice and rainy outside, so it's a good time to stay inside. Growing up 15, this is what happens when you don't tax the rich. I don't think that's what happens. This is what happens when you don't spend tax money correctly, because they can tax the rich all they want. What happens with the taxpayer money, they'll probably go spend it on the roads. They'll spend it on stupid projects. That's the thing. The United States government and state governments already tax enough as it is. It's where the money is going that's the problem. Where the money goes. Okay? It's not tax more. It's where the money goes. Because even Illinois would say they're gonna tax electric car buyers now like $5,000 for registration. That's ridiculous. And people aren't gonna buy an electric car. Let's see. New York has all these higher taxes. Meanwhile, the subway's decaying and can barely expand. And New York subway was doing much better when it was privately owned. That's correct. Go to the New York Subway Museum in Brooklyn, and you're going to see there, the trains just looked fantastic. They looked beautiful. If you looked at, the Brooklyn Rapid Transit, you look at all those other trains, BRT, Metro Transit, everything. It was just beautiful. California needs to construct more pylons. Well, they'll get there. GM killed private passenger rail in U.S. That's from Renell Reed. Yep, we're going to do an episode on that in the near future. Jessica Kasumi, we need to invest in our future, not a dinosaur that is the freeway. Absolutely. That's what we need to do. Invest whatever we got. Because the thing is that you can expand the highways as much as you can, but it's not going to fix traffic. Again, it's the paradox of induced traffic. The more lanes you build, the more people buy cars, the more traffic you get. Simple as that. Hagen 6789 Production said, "Do you like Lionel trains?" I love Lionel trains. Excuse me. I was in this. This was many years ago. I was maybe like 6 or 7. I went to this Holiday Inn in Orlando. I think it's still called the Holiday Inn, but they changed it up. But it was this train themed Holiday Inn, and it had these Lionel trains. And the lobby had this massive model train in the lobby. And I love seeing that. In fact, I just went out to hang out there to see the model trains because they had these Nintendo 64s in the rooms. So we said, okay, good, we're gonna go ahead and rent a game then. So we rented. Unfortunately, we rented Ocarina of Time, and we made the terrible decision of renting Superman 64, which I believe is honestly the worst game of all time, and so many people agree with that. That is the worst freaking video game I've ever played, because my dad is a big Superman fan, so we're like, oh, okay, great, so we have a game we can all play. Forget it, we like stopped playing it after an hour of frustration and aggravation. We just went out to see the trains, then went back to play Ocarina of Time and go to Disney World. California will not halt construction. They're not going to stop construction of the train. They're going to keep this going. It's going to get built. How it gets built, that all depends on what California does. Hello, Eric Krause. Unfortunately, we're going to be leaving soon. All the boys are here. Yep, we are. Let's see. Jessica Kasumi, the pre-Amtrak era is my favorite time for American rail. Almost every major city had rail access. It's true. You can be able to get anywhere. That was true freedom back then. When we meant by the American dream back then, the American dream was coined in 1932. Okay, this was before, everybody having a car, a suburb, a picket fence, 2-car garage, and 3 golden retrievers. Back then the American dream was being able to, do anything you believed you could, work as hard as you could, and be able to make it. Work hard, work smart. Because again, you can work hard as you want, guys. I mean, there's people in Walmart work hard, but you can make a lot of money doing something else. For the same effort. I'm just putting it out there. So when you guys are going to look for a job, don't get yourself stuck in something that you're going to hate. For the rest of your lives. That's just my 2 cents on your lives. Demetrius's advice over there. But go ahead and take it as you will. Let's see, transport nerd, off topic, but the Houston transportation sucks. I revamped the whole bus system on Google Earth and made an entire commuter rail system. Should I make it public? By all means, go ahead. If you guys have any plans or anything that you draw up or anything like that, be sure to share it on the Facebook group. Let me go ahead and share the Facebook group over here. And then we gotta start kicking it off. Yep. Go ahead, do it on there, and or do it on Discord channel. Highcast Infrastructure. If you have the link to the Discord, put it out there as well. If any of you guys have any proposals or anything like that, feel free to do it. Because I think that's the thing. If we make more plans, if we look into them, we research into them. Not that we're gonna have the money to make high-speed rail. Maybe I'm trying to get there. If I can reach a millionaire status within the next 2 years or so or something like that, I'm gonna start making proposals for real and start trying to find. You have to have money in order to get people with money and in order to start getting things done. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, that's my grand plan. Of everything is that I want to have my gravestone said that I helped to build high speed rail. Back in the United States. That's what I want. Remington Howell, hey, from North Carolina, need update on our train in the state. Nothing, I haven't seen anything else from North Carolina here, buddy. I'll see next time on the live stream if we can, but for right now, I didn't see anything on North Carolina. My apologies. Let me see, somebody asked if I would do, Rob K, are you still doing the podcast? Yeah, so the podcast is coming back this week on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about electric trains. We're going to be going about electric cars, Tesla, and a little bit more about that. I'm kind of disappointed what YouTube did with my video there. So if you guys run a YouTube channel, do not premiere your video. Just make it public. Do not premiere it. You can schedule it. Do not premiere it because YouTube's algorithm is so messed up that it counts your first hour of viewing as that hour premiering, waiting up to the time. So do not premiere it. I think it kind of messed up the views for the Tesla video because it should be doing better. If you guys want to go ahead and share it, please do. Go ahead and share it out if you know there's any electric car blogs or anything like that, or any train blogs or magazines. Go ahead and share that out. Share it with your friends. Share it on Facebook. Share it, with anybody you have. As I think it's a big. This is pretty important, guys. So the reason why I made it is because there's so many articles and there's so many people that think that, we don't need rail in this country because we're going to have autonomous cars just go ahead and move everybody around, which is one of the stupidest things I've heard. We need both. We need both. We need autonomous vehicles. We need electric trains. We need electric cars. What's wrong with not having both of them? It's really silly. It really is. Okay, so there's the link there, guys. So go ahead and if you need to share it, please do. It's important to get out. Share it with your local politicians, share it with your congressmen, share it with your newspapers. If you know any electric car blogs or anything, go ahead and do that. Let's see. Brightline Orlando update. They said construction will start immediately, but I haven't heard anything since. When they mean immediately, that's going to be within the next 2 months or so. So watch it when it's going to be coming. The minute we see the news about construction going on, we're going to have it on here, so don't worry. Transport nerd, I'm sorry for promoting spamming too much. It's fine. We're all on here. Don't worry. Let's see, the latest multimodal meeting I attended, we are building a multimodal transit center in my city and a new Amtrak station, something like a small Union Station. That's pretty good. It's growing up 15. That's a good thing. If you don't mind me asking, which city is that? Because I'm interested to know. Highcast Infrastructure. Don't feel bad, Dan. I'm wasting Demetrius' time by making him read my stupid memes in this chat. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm enjoying it, guys. It's why we do this here. I'm trying to be consistent as possible, because that's the thing. If we're not consistent in this, people don't get to hear what's going on. People don't get to stay on board of building better rail transportation in the country. And I feel, you guys don't understand, I feel terrible whenever I miss the deadline for making videos, or I don't get this, because I feel bad. I feel like I'm failing, not just all of you, but I'm failing the country. It does. You guys should ask my girlfriend, because she knows how bad I feel about it. Would you do a video on Sydney Metro? I would, if I ever do go to Sydney at some point. For some reason, everybody keeps asking me why I like Australia so much. I don't know. I just want to go there for some reason. My girlfriend even asked me the same thing. I would love to visit Australia. Go ahead and visit Brisbane. Go and rent an FPV, a ute. Start driving around, mate. That's what I want to do. All right, guys. It's been fun. We're going to cut it off over here. If you have any other questions, let me know in the chat. Catch me on Facebook. I'm also going to get back on Facebook. Ask your questions on here on the YouTube, and we'll be sure I'll go ahead and answer them as quick as I can. And hope you guys have a great day. If you have any other articles or links you want to share them in the comments below. I'll go ahead and try to put them up as YouTube doesn't go ahead. So we'll see from there. All right, you all. Take care. We'll see you next time.